Well, hello and welcome. Welcome to November's Aging Well. If you're anything like me, it's just this fall has flown by so quickly. So I'm thrilled beyond words that y'all are here with us. We have got an amazing program for you tonight. But before we get started, I always have to thank my buddies. I thank Tom Roth from our CTSI, Courtney Hayes from our Aging Center, and Audrey Belfero from our ADRC, that's the Alzheimer's Disease Research Center. This is the team. These are the folks that make all this happen. And of course, thank you, because if y'all didn't tune in, as I always say, we wouldn't have anything to do on the second Tuesday of every month. So thank you for being here. We're really excited to share what we hope is going to be a very meaningful presentation for you tonight. It's funny that I get emails, and I love getting emails, so please keep them coming, from y'all telling me things you like, things you'd like to see. And I gotta say, my husband has quite a following. I don't think I should be jealous, but anyway, he does. He has quite a following. People love to hear from Don about things that are delicious and can be easily made at home. And what he's making tonight, he made it a couple days ago, but we're showing it tonight, is a celery root soup. And I had never had it until his brother in DC made it for us one night, and it has now become one of our family's favorites. So like he's going to tell you, you can either have it as a side dish, a soup course for a large meal, or the night he made it, we just had that and some really good bread and soft cheese, and it was perfect. It was delicious. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my sweetheart and let him show you how to make celery root soup.
Well, thank you for having me on Aging Well again. Tonight it's going to be really simple, a celery root soup, and I've given some ideas for extending it or complicating it, but this is the basic one, and it is delicious. It's wonderful, and it's perfect for fall. Now we're going to actually have it for dinner with some nice bread, a salad, and some cheese. But it would also be an amazing first course for a Thanksgiving dinner or a big, larger feast. This one was based on a recipe in the New York Times years ago. My brother made it for us for a meal, too many years ago to talk about. And but anyway, it starts with celery root. Now, not a lot of people cook with celery root. This is what it is. It's kind of this ugly brown thing, and you wonder, you go right past it in the grocery store, and apparently so many people go right past it in the grocery store that not a lot of grocery stores carry it. Harris Teeter happened to be the one around us that had it. A couple others didn't. But this is it. And it's the root, and you can see these are little celery stalks actually coming out of it. So what we're going to do is just peel this thing, and it grows very, kind of complicated. It's got these little ingrowths and everything you can maybe see. So you want to try to get rid of as much of that as you can, and just end up with this white flesh. So the first step is then just peel it. The recipe calls for about a pound. That would be a larger celery root, but you can scale everything down fine depending on how many people are eating and so on. You could use 2 roots, for example, or try to find a larger one. A vegetable peeler doesn't work too great because you really kind of do have to dig a little bit deeper to get rid of all those little indentations and everything. And I've given some suggestions in the recipe of maybe making it a little fancier. You don't need to do that. This is absolutely amazingly good just by itself as written. But you could add a little sauteed leek if you like a little onion flavor in it, or even some fennel or some other root vegetable. But I would start with just the celery root itself. And so you can see there are a little couple of ingrowths there, and that's got roots, and so I'm gonna cut those out. And so now you can see we got a pretty nice, clean, more or less white ball, which I can now wash off. And then it's kind of a little tough bugger, but just you want to cut it into little cubes, and then we're going to boil it until it's tender. And we're going to puree the soup, so it doesn't really matter. You just want to cut it up so it'll cook faster. You don't need to cut it into, defined pieces or anything like that. Okay, so I'm just going to add that to the water. And you're going to boil it with cream. And like I said, you can proportion it out depending on how big the root is. I got proportions, I think, for a pound. You're going to boil it with heavy whipping cream in the water. And you're going to puree that whole thing, so you're not. You can mix the water in with the cream, and we're going to bring that to a boil and let it boil almost 30 minutes so the root gets really tender. Because, like I said, we're going to puree it at the end. So I'm going to turn the burner on, and we're going to let that cook. Okay, well, I'm back after. Boiling our celery root. It's been 30 minutes. I'm going to give another just minute or two while I do the other prep, which is the floater flavoring to it, which is a maple syrup, red wine vinegar, and spice mix that really elevates this well beyond, nirvana here. I could tout myself and say the vinegar is actually homemade vinegar. You all get old bottles of, bottles of red wine that, end up, getting stuffed to the back maybe, and maybe age a little bit beyond their optimum point. And you can buy something called a vinegar mother, and you just put it in with the wine and a little water, and it magically turns into vinegar. So at any rate, I'm going to use some of my homemade red wine vinegar, a quarter cup of that. And a half cup of maple syrup. And maple syrup isn't cheap, but it's really, really good. And so, if you can spring for it, really try to get the real stuff. And you can buy little tiny bottles because it may not be something you're going to use a ton of. And a quarter teaspoon of allspice. And a quarter teaspoon of cloves. And I'm going to, hooked on my, okay. I'm going to start heating that gently while I then puree this. We've got the maple syrup spice mix kind of heating nice and slow, and we're going to blend this. And when you take it off the stove, you'll see steam coming up. And so if you want to blend it in a stand blender, what happens is the steam is coming up in relation to how much surface area is there. And if you mix air into it, you're going to multiply that surface area by 10, which means you're going to multiply the steam by 10, which means the thing is going to shoot up and burn your hand and splatter all over the place. So if you do it in a stand blender, just be sure it's well cooled down. Doesn't have to be cold or room temp, but certainly not steaming anymore. And the nice thing about an immersion blender is you get it extremely smooth, and this recipe is very forgiving for reheating. This will reheat as good tomorrow as it is now. So don't hesitate to do that if you want. But because we're going to eat it tonight, I'm going to go on and do the immersion blender right now. And so I will figure out how to use the immersion blender. Okay, so I've got a nice pureed soup, and maybe you can see there that it's fairly thick. You know, it's a good hearty texture. And I'm going to salt and pepper. Here's my salt. A little pinch of salt. And if you have white pepper, it's nice just because it doesn't introduce little black dots into your soup. But white pepper also has a different flavor. It's a little more, I think, piquant than ready. And so now, if you had cooled this off in order to put it into a stand blender, you could reheat it. And I'm going to just reheat it a little bit. And I now have my maple syrup spice blend to put into it. Now, for Thanksgiving, what you can do is, if you made it the day before or you made it 10 minutes before, you just want to reheat it to piping hot. And, you know, Thanksgiving and holidays like that are all about the memories, about your friends and celebration and everything. So, you know, if you can be fancy, be fancy. And we have this beautiful terrine given to us by a friend in Salt Lake City. And I would normally bring it to the table in that. But for tonight, I just want to show you how you could bring it and let the guests float their own maple syrup onto it. And so you give a nice ladle full of soup here in the bowl. And then take a spoon and just, you know, it's a thick soup, so this will kind of tend to stay on the top. And put a tablespoon and a half on top of the soup. And voila, you have a celebratory and, believe me, delicious, either starter to a meal or, for us tonight, a complete meal, because we're just going to have this and a little salad and some bread and cheese, and that'll be a nice, healthy dinner. So thank you for joining us again. Bye.
And I can promise you that that soup is delicious. It really is one of our family's favorites. So I was just tickled to death when he was going to make that for you. Now, staying in the holiday spirit, if you will, Don and I have lived here for 10 years, and I had never gone up to Mitchell's Nursery in King before to get poinsettias. I had always heard they were poisonous for dogs, and we have dogs. But I think you're going to learn a little bit about poinsettias, as well as I'm tickled to take you on a tour. Jim and Judy Mitchell are giving us a beautiful, amazing tour of their poinsettias. And one thing they didn't mention that I want you to know going into it, they have over 80 varieties of poinsettias. Who knew? And also they grow between 12 and 13,000 plants every year. So without further ado, let's go to King and look at some beautiful flowers.
Thanks, Deb. It's nice to be part of AgingWell one more time. And I'm Jim Mitchell from Mitchell's Nursery and Greenhouse here in King. My wife and I have been in the business going on 45 years. The last 18, 20 years now, we've been growing poinsettias. Poinsettias is according to where you're from as to how you might want to say that. But in the last 17 years or so, we've started doing experimental trials with breeders. This year we've got 89 different varieties of poinsettias. Some of them are still numbers. The breeders will actually send us cuttings of ones before they're on the market to help with the initial test growing of a new variety of poinsettias. And that's what's made it real interesting to me. It makes me feel like I'm still in school. We're one of about 7 greenhouse operations in the United States and Canada that the breeders will send cuttings to help with the test growing. We're almost to the end of our putting up a new greenhouse facility at our nursery and greenhouse. And hopefully within the next 10 days, 2 weeks, we will have that filled with poinsettias. We're going to try to have our display up there where it'll be easier to see and easier area to get to. We'll have 3 of each variety on the end of the bench with its name or number beside it. We'll have the sheets ready and you can go through and vote on your favorite red, favorite white, favorite pink, and we will total up the numbers at the end of the voting sessions and send the results back to the breeders so that they'll know what the public's ideas and thoughts are on their different varieties of poinsettias. We will have our poinsettia set up for the voting the 24th of November through the 6th of December. So if you'll come up and vote, the more persons we have that come in and fill out the papers, the more numbers we'll have to send results back to the breeders.
This one is a new one this year. It is Superba Poker Pink Marble. It's got the marbling in it and the pink dots in it. It's just every one of them is unique. There's no two alike. This one is Tidings Light Pink. Look, Tidings Light Pink. And that was new a few years ago, but that's still a different one. It's got the light on the outside and dark on the inside. This one is Poinsettia Queen Pink. And it's really a hot pink color. And it's sizing up better than the original poinsettias did. This one is Ruby Red. It's a really deep, pretty red color. They don't size up quite as good. They're a little bit smaller, but it does have that brilliant color and the dark red stems. This one is Premium Picasso. It has all the little splotches in it. I think it's real unusual. And each one of those some are a little bit darker, some are a little bit lighter of that one. This one is Superba New Glitter. It has the red poinsettia with the little white splotches in it. And every one of those is just a little bit different. The splotches are all different on every one of them. Okay. And this is Premium Ice Punch. It's got the light color in the center and the darker edge. Makes an interesting combination.
A couple of my favorites this year, beautiful for Thanksgiving as well as for Christmas, this orange color. It's called Orange Glow. And then a couple years ago, they came out with a new one called Mouse Ears. Most of your bracts or flowers, you know, have that pointed edge. The mouse ears has that little rounded edge, and there is a red and a pink of mouse ears. In caring for our poinsettias, they will do best with a little bit of light. At this point, when they're purchased, though, they'll have pretty color, should, till the first of the year in your house. For water, usually a cup to a cup and a half about once a week. If you've got an area to set it or a little dish to set it in, and water it good, and then go back and water it again in about 10 or 15 minutes, once a week with a cup and a half or so of water should be sufficient to keep it pretty till these new varieties, a lot of them will stay pretty on up till Valentine's Day. So they've come a long way with the improvements on poinsettias. There is a big myth behind the poinsettia toxicity. There was, from what I've understood, there was a gentleman that had about a 15-year-old dog that gnawed on a poinsettia one day, and within the next week that dog passed. And the gentleman blamed it on the chewing up of his poinsettia, and his sick dog had just passed away. So they're not a toxic plant to your cats or dogs. The main issue now, if your cat or dog has that little bit of play in its lips and goes to gnawing on the poinsettia plant, they have a rosin in them, almost like pine rosin, that's real sticky. And especially with cats, you'll have to almost wash their mouth off if they gnaw on it a lot before they can eat again. It is sticky, but it's not toxic.
This is tapestry. It's got the unique gold edge to the leaf, and then the other leaves turn red. And it always keeps that unique variegated color to it. And that's tapestry. This one is Poinsettia White. It's the whitest poinsettia so far developed. And it's got the smaller bracts to it. It's a type of euphorbia type of the poinsettia, which is a different kind. But it does have the smaller bracts, and it's the whitest one so far. This one's called Golden Glow. It's a pretty one for Christmas. It's got and for Thanksgiving, it's got the gold color to it. And then this one is Autumn Leaves. And it's a pretty one for Thanksgiving. It's got a unique kind of golden peach color bloom. And both of these are smaller, well, normally grow smaller. Makes a good centerpiece then.
One more variety of poinsettias that I'd like to show you is one called the Winter Rose. It has the bloom shaped just like a red rose, but it's actually still a poinsettia, and it'll keep pretty color. I set one of these in my house several years ago in the restroom in the basement. No light was contacting that, and about 2 weeks later I went down to clean up some stuff. This poinsettia was still sitting in the restroom, and no light, no water. It was beautiful. My wife and I have been in the business now for 45 years plus, and no matter where we go on vacations, we enjoy getting out and seeing other facilities of growing trees and shrubs as well as greenhouse. Last week we went on vacation, went down towards Charlotte, and one of the growers that we went to was growing poinsettias for the Biltmore plantation. We got to talking with the lady there, and she was saying that they had to have their poinsettias flowering and coloring up earlier than most places like we do. And because of that, they had what was termed as a black cloth that they put across their plants 3 weeks or so earlier than we have to be concerned about darkness to make them bloom early. The normal bloom time at Christmas is controlled by day length and night length. We've got about a 3-week period from the end of September till about the second, third week of October, that at nighttime the poinsettias have to be asleep and not interrupted. 2-foot candles of light, if you can imagine 2 candles burning 12 inches away from that plant, if that's done several nights in a row, and instead of blooming for Christmas, your poinsettia will bloom New Year's on into January if you interrupt their sleep. So it's a unique plant. Most of your plants, though, are controlled by temperature as well as day length and setting their blooms. So poinsettias is one of those that is really unique for our area. Some persons want a large poinsettia with more spread to it than would be in just a standard 10-inch pot. This is a 10-inch hanging basket. This is a variety of pink that's just beginning to color up. In just another 10 days, 2 weeks, this will be a beautiful pink flower. Persons will come in and buy these. You can just go in here and take that wire off and set this on the table or an area where you want to see some pretty color and have a gigantic poinsettia. Generally, the second week of August, we will pot our poinsettia crop. You can see here we have filled the pots, 6-inch pots, with dirt, and then we'll do that for about 3 or 4 days, and the next week when the cuttings come in, we'll put one little rooted cutting with 3 to 5 leaves on each cutting into a 6.5-inch pot. That plant will grow for several weeks, and as it comes up, we go through and pinch the tops out to make them branch. Some growth regulator to help them get fuller and bushy and that type of thing. Keep them fed, and they will grow and become beautiful plants. Poinsettias, of course, are tropical plants. They originated in Mexico, brought to the United States in the 1880s by Poinsett, was the gentleman's name that brought them in. And the main issue, besides not letting them dry up, is not to drown them. If you water them every day or every other day, and it's got the paper at the bottom that retains that moisture or water you put in, they can get a root rot that will actually make them fall apart in just a few days if you keep them too wet. So be sure and water them 1.5 cups, 2 cups once a week, but not to water them 1.5 cups or 2 cups every day. If your poinsettia has paper and bow on it or some type of wrapping that's almost impossible to get off, then the issue would be to water your plant, let it stand and hold that water for 30 minutes to an hour, then pick up your plant, take it and tilt it to the side very easily, and the water will run off out of your paper, and then it should be fine for the week. Now, for the poinsettia season, we are going to have the voting to send back to the breeders on our favorite different types. You will be able to come in, take the sheet on a clipboard, and vote on your favorite red, favorite pink, favorite white, and favorite novelties. All the different shapes and sizes and colors. Our hours this time of year are from 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, and 8 to 4 on Saturday. The last 2 Sundays, the last Sunday of November and the first Sunday of December, we will be open from 12 to 3 for you to come in and vote and see all the different types. We'll have them set up with 3 of each type on the end of the bench for you to see all the different types. Some of the favorites, the winter rose, which has a little rosy rosette flower on it, the variegated, which is tapestry, and then one of your new ones is kind of a sandy color, is candy cinnamon. So come see us and all the different flowers that we have for the Christmas season.
Sorry, didn't realize I was muted. So I asked the Mitchells, I said, which is your favorite? Which ones do you bring home? And she said, we usually bring home any that are left at the end of the season. And you think, okay, you just think being around that many every day, you might get tired of them. But they loved it. And I have to show you that I did come home with one. To me, it was so pretty because it was just the different colored leaves and they stayed different colored. So to me, I just thought that was beautiful. So getting on to our speaker for tonight, we're still staying kind of in that holiday genre, if you will, but maybe the underbelly of the holiday season when people try to take advantage of the goodwill and good works of others. And so joining us tonight is the Assistant District Attorney, Jessica Spencer with Forsyth County. She is going to talk about the most common scams in Forsyth County and really anywhere, and what you can do to protect yourself and those you love. I love this comment that, scammers think they're smart, but hopefully after tonight, you're going to be smarter. So Jessica, we're going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Deb. Let me see if I can get this started. I just wanted to go ahead and mention that I work for your elected district attorney, Jim O'Neill. And Mr. O'Neill has a real passion for protecting older adults and making sure that their quality of life is good. I'm going to go pretty fast through some of these first slides because we have some really good ones at the end that I want to make sure that we have time for. Basically, I just want you to know what to look for. If you get a scam call, what to do, how to protect yourself. This is getting more and more common as the U.S. population is aging. Scammers have taken on, and as technology comes along, the scammers are at the forefront of moving things along with their scams and trying to get people out of money. And the older adult generation obviously is going to be the one that they mostly want to target because you tend to have more money. This is a good rule of thumb. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. That's an age-old adage, and I want you to remember that throughout. If it seems too good to be true, it's going to be too good to be true. I'm going to talk about some of the common ones that we get. The little audios that we play are actually ones that I've received on my phone. So let's go ahead and start with this first one.
24 working hours. And once it gets expired, after that you will be taken under custody by the local cops, as there are 4 serious allegations pressed on your name at this moment. We would request you to get back to us, so that we can discuss about this case, before taking any legal action against you. The number to reach us is 360-215-1547. I repeat, 360-215-1547. Thank you.
So that sounds pretty scary. They're going to place you under arrest. Obviously, it cuts out before it tells you why you're being arrested. So you don't even know why you're being arrested. The phone number on this scam is going to change. Never rely on a phone number for being accurate. Scammers can call from Dubai and they can call from Forsyth County. So you never know where it is coming from because the number is not going to be accurate. There's a lot of variations of this particular scam. The IRS is going to come get you. I had an assistant one time who the FBI was coming to get her. She was scared and called me, and I said, trust me, if the FBI wants to come and get you, they're just going to come and get you. They're not going to call and give you a heads up first. They're going to show up at your door and get you. So when you get these messages, just know that if you're going to be arrested, the police are going to come and get you. Another common phone call scam is your account's been charged, your account's been suspended. They never tell you what your account is, like which account is this? So, and they're, again, usually automated messages. The last message, you notice that the English wasn't good. They're like, the local cops are going to come and get you. They didn't refer to them as law enforcement or anything like that. So these are things you want to make sure you're looking for. But let's listen to a couple of these that I got. I got these at the beginning of October.
Your account has been suspended for verification. To reactivate your account, please press 1. To speak with a customer service representative, please press 2.
Okay, they didn't tell me what account has been suspended, so I don't know which one has been suspended. It's highly suspicious. If the bank is going to call you, they're going to be like, hey, Miss Spencer, I'm calling about your Chase card account or something like that. But this one doesn't even have that information.
This call is to authorize the payment of $1,499 for the recent order of Apple MacBook Pro on your Amazon account. If you do not authorize this payment, please press 1 to speak to our customer support representative.
Okay, I didn't order a new MacBook, so clearly that one is a scam as well. But your first initial reaction always is to be really scared. I don't have $4,000 for this new computer. But if you didn't order a computer, you didn't order it. And remember, if your bank is charged in a scam, which mine was before, it has been illegally charged in a scam, you can appeal that and then you will get your money back. Another good rule of thumb is just if you're going to buy something big, go ahead and put it on a credit card, because their time frame for returning your money is a little faster than my experience with my bank account and getting me my money back. But they did investigate it, and I was able to get my money back. So don't sweat that either. And just remember, again, that was an automated message. It sounded sketchy, but my initial reaction, even mine, was panic and fear that my account had been charged, because I have had my account charged before. So just make sure that to take a step back and be calm and recognize that it's a scam. Check your bank account. Look and see if your bank account has been charged. Okay, this one, my mom has actually gotten a grandparent scam. She laughed and said that she knew her grandchildren knew better than to call her and ask for money. So she knew who it wasn't. They may or may not know the name of a grandchild that you have. It is likely they do not know. So when they call and they're going to say, hi, Grandma, this is Jessica. I'm in some emergency situation. I'm under arrest. I'm out of the country. Something terrible is about to happen. I was in an accident and I need money right now. And then you say, oh, Jessica? And if they hadn't said the name of a grandchild of yours, then you say, then you would say, oh, Jessica, and they would come back and be like, yes, it's Jessica. I'm the one calling. So sometimes another person will even come over, and a very official sounding person will then say, you know, I am the government, I am the police, and we need that money right now. Before you go down and you send any money via Western Union, which is a big one, or Green Dot Cards is another big one that they're going to tell you how they need the money sent to them. Call a regular family member, check and see if the person, call your grandkid back on their cell phone number, check and make sure that you know where they are and that you know, you've talked to them and they've answered the phone. There's always going to be a bunch of different emergencies, but just double check. Like, emergencies do happen, we know, and that's why this scam is effective. But before you go sending money away, call your grandkid, call their parent, call your child, check and see, is Jessica in, you know, Egypt today? Is Jessica on vacation somewhere? Why are we getting this call? So verify before you go and start sending a lot of money off. This is a really big one, and this is a hard one because it's a romance scam. A lot of online dating sites, everybody's pretty familiar with the words catfish now and things like that. You do not know who is on the other side of the screen. They are showing you what they want you to see. With AI technology now, that artificial intelligence technology, you can actually change your face and present a fake face, even if the person is talking to you live. So be aware of that. Be very cautious. And a lot of people meet online. It is very common now for people to meet online, and that's wonderful. The thing you need to be careful about is when people start asking you for money. I am old fashioned, and if I am going out on a date, I expect the other person to pay. So just keep that in mind, and don't send money. They're going to ask for money. They're apparently, again, like the grandparents scam, they're going to be traveling outside the US, something bad has happened, I need money for that. Well, they should have planned ahead if this is true and they're an adult. A really common one actually is that they're working on an oil rig, or they're in the military, or they're a doctor with some international organization and they need money for plane tickets to come and see you, or other travel expenses, for different medical expenses, to pay off debts. That's their problem. They need to take responsibility for that. The big one though is that, hey, honey, I want to come and see you. And then you'll pay for the ticket, and then something will happen and they're not going to be able to come. And you're going to continue to send them money so they can come again another time. And then sadly, a lot of people lose a lot of money through these romance scams. So my advice to you is, if you suspect that, well, even if you don't suspect, the first time somebody asks you for money, talk to somebody you trust about it. Pay attention if your friends or family say that they're concerned about your new love interest. And these hook into your emotional response. So they're very difficult. You don't want to believe that this person who's telling you everything that you want to hear and that you have fallen in love with perhaps has been lying to you all along. So I suggest stop communicating with the person immediately. Don't send them any money. Do not send money until you have met somebody in person and they are for sure your sweetheart. Do not start spending money on people that you've met online. Another one would be sweepstake scams. You're going to get a call saying that you've won a prize in a sweepstake. There's never a prize. And if they ask you to pay before you get your prize, then you're not actually paying for a prize. You're paying. It's not a prize. And that's going to be a scam. There is no legitimate sweepstakes that are going to require a winner to pay fees or taxes up front before you get your prize money. They take it out of the prize money when they give it to you. So in this picture, they're going to say you get $400, but they're going to take the taxes out, and you're actually going to get a little less than that if you're winning in a legitimate sweepstakes. This is another big one that we see. Classified ad scams. The Facebook Marketplace, if you're online, is a big one. It's kind of taking over for the regular post in the newspaper. Everybody is always trying to sell something on Facebook Marketplace or in the classified ads. Do not wire or send money directly to a private individual. Don't ever do that. Use a reputable third-party payer so that if there's a problem, you can get your money back. And I would tell you, don't Venmo. Use somebody else like PayPal, where it's going to be that you can actually get your money back if it's going to be a reputable third-party payer. Never, ever, and I can't push this enough about gift cards. Do not buy gift cards for part of an online transaction. Just don't do it. That is not the way to pay for things. And we'll talk a little bit later about gift cards and why not to do that. The most police stations, and I know the Winston Police Department has a parking spot designated for buying and selling goods that you've done online. So it's a little safer place to do it. You're not going to get robbed likely when you're doing a job or making an exchange at the police department in their special reserved parking spot. So if you're buying something online or selling something online, I always suggest go to the police department for it. And if the person is legitimate, they're not going to have a problem with that. This one, I actually have an ex-boyfriend whose aunt fell victim to this scam. She got a call from the IT department claiming they had a problem with her computer, and they were able to remotely access her computer for the information that she gave them, and they were going to check out this phony problem. They did this exact thing. They installed some malware, and then her computer started having issues, and then they continued to demand payment to fix this problem that they actually started. Now, they did what we're going to talk about gift cards again. in this particular situation, they did exactly that. They asked for payment by gift cards. And we're going to talk a little bit later about how even if you have the physical gift card, if you've given the information from the gift card to someone else, the physical gift card is now worthless. They have the information, and that's exactly what happened. Another thing is she lost about $35,000. There is no computer that you're going to be buying and using that is worth $35,000. So cut it off. If you become a victim of this scam and something has happened, when you get past the value of your computer, stop paying. Go get yourself a new computer and you would save yourself thousands of dollars. I'm not saying $3,500. She lost $35,000 in this particular scam. Never, ever allow someone to remotely access your computer unless you're the one who called tech support. And this one is another personal story for me. Your cell phone is a computer. I am an expert on fraud. I am an expert on scams, and I was scammed several years ago. I want to say it was about 6 years ago. I got a phone call from quote unquote Verizon about my cell phone, and it sounded legitimate, and I was a little bit suspicious, but not too suspicious. They end up giving me, sending me a code on my cell phone, and it says right on the code, do not share this code with anyone. So I told them, I said, it says do not share the code with anyone. They're like, yes, we know that, but we requested it to be sent and we need you to give us the code. So I foolishly gave them the code off of my cell phone. And then the conversation ended very quickly after that. I felt a little uncomfortable about it. And so I decided that I was going to call Verizon back. And I called immediately to call back to verify that that was a true and accurate phone call that I had received. And it surprisingly was not. It was a scam. And within that 5 minutes it took me to call Verizon to ask them if it was a legitimate phone call. They had added 2 new phone lines to my phone and ordered multiple brand new iPhones through my phone. So in that 5 minutes, they had wrecked my cell service. So fortunately, I had called back and we were able to put a stop to that and before the cell phones were sent off, because later, if they had been sent, no one would get those back. They would just be gone. So if you do fall victim to something and you feel a little uncomfortable about it afterwards, make sure to call and check. I think in the future, if I get a phone call from anyone, including Verizon, I will say, I will call you back at the official Verizon number, and then we can go forward with this call. So that's my suggestion for that in my personal experience of being scammed on my phone. This isn't funny because I had jury duty today, and this one is a jury duty scam. You get a phone call from somebody pretending to be a law enforcement officer saying that you had missed jury duty. They're going to threaten to arrest you and pay a fine unless you pay this fine immediately. I don't know if you've seen, but the sheriff's department constantly puts out notices that says this is not the way we operate. And again, this person is going to tell you buy prepaid cash cards, buy gift cards, read off the numbers from the back of those cards. And again, what did I say earlier? Once you have given them the information from the card is worthless. They have the information. The sheriff is never, ever going to ask you to pay for something with a gift card. That is not the way they operate. So sometimes they also try to rush you and say that if you do something quickly, you'll get a discount. But again, no legitimate government entity, back to the FBI saying you have to pay not to be arrested. They're never going to ask that you mail in cash. They're never going to say wire us money. They're never going to say buy some prepaid gift cards. This one is funny. A lot of people actually fall for it. Foreign lotteries, they say that, hey, you've won the lottery. My favorite is Jamaica. It's a very common one. You've won the Jamaican lottery. Well, if you haven't been to Jamaica and you haven't bought a ticket in Jamaica, then you're not winning the Jamaican lottery. And also a thing to know is under federal law, all foreign lotteries are illegal. So you couldn't get that one anyway. Again, they're going to ask that you pay certain fees up front. Again, just like the sweepstakes, they're going to take that money out if you do win. And this picture just makes me laugh. This is from a trip I took to Jamaica. We went into a candy shop. These are regular old candies. This is the price of what a candy would taste or cost in Jamaica. This is in Jamaican money. In US money, it's about $2.20. But if they say you've won the Jamaican lottery, even if you legitimately win the Jamaican lottery, you really didn't win that much money. This is one that we end up prosecuting people for sometimes, these work at home scams. If you have to spend any of your own money to purchase supplies, postage, make copies, or advertise, it's a scam. If you have to, this one is the one that's the biggest problem. If you deposit money into your account and then you send money to another person, that is a scam, and it is something that's very common to do, and it actually funds terrorism overseas. This is one of their big scams that they get people to do. So please, please do not ever deposit money into your account to turn around and send it to somebody else. You are helping somebody launder money. That's exactly what that is. If you have to pay a membership fee, it's going to be a scam. This is one that I end up getting most of my charges from. You have a son, a daughter, a grandchild, a friendly neighbor, a nice person from church that is helping you out with different things, and you give them your ATM card, and then you give them permission to take out a certain amount of money from the ATM, and they begin to take out a lot of money from your ATM account. They may open accounts in your name, which you're not even aware of. If you have someone, they may straight up just steal some of your personal properties, or they may use threats to obtain money and property. I always say trust but verify. If you've given your ATM card to a loved one, check your account balance. If they are keeping your accounts from you, that is a major red flag. You deserve to know it's your money and how much money is in there. So trust but verify. Make sure that the money that's coming out, every single victim I see says, oh yes, I let them take money. And then they say, oh wow, I didn't know that they took that much money, because that was not what was given permission for. So check, trust but verify. Make sure you understand any documents that you're signing. If one of your loved ones takes you to an attorney, they are not allowed to be in the room if it is your attorney. So make sure that you are meeting with the attorney with them out of the room. The attorney represents you and should not have any influence by the person who brought you there. If you have a power of attorney, make sure that you're checking to make sure that they're being held accountable. This is a big one right now, especially after Hurricane Helen, that it always occurs after disasters, natural disasters, terrorist incidents, health crisis, a lot of the GoFundMe things. Give us some donations over online. They pull on your heartstrings. Please do donate, but donate to a reputable source. Double check. Make sure that on the news, they're constantly saying what are reputable sources for you to donate. Just be highly suspicious of any phone calls that you get out of the blue asking for a charity scam. The sad reality is, once you're a victim of the scam, most likely you are not going to get your money back. And that's just the truth. So what I want you to do is keep an eye out for these red flags. Again, if somebody asks you to pay in gift cards, be suspicious. You know who takes the Home Depot gift card? Home Depot does. Nobody else takes the Home Depot gift card for payment on their items. You know, Amazon gift cards, they're going to be good at Amazon. So why do you need to pay somebody else in an Amazon gift card? It's crazy. Be careful of the gift cards that are Visa gift cards. Again, this is the information on the back. I was trying to remember where this one was from, and then I saw over on the side, it actually says Olive Garden. So this was an Olive Garden gift card I had gotten, and you can see what they're going to ask for is the number on the card and then the PIN number. And this one has been used, so don't try to take the number and go use it again. It's already empty. But if you still have the physical card is not worth anything once they have that information. Once that information is given, it's the information on the card that is valuable and holds the money that's on the card. So even though you may feel secure in maintaining the gift cards, once you give over that information, the gift card itself is totally worthless. One thing to look for is if somebody's calling you and they're using a foreign language. That's highly suspicious. If they're threatening you with violence, again, highly suspicious, probably a scam. Don't answer calls that you don't recognize. If it is important and they want to get up with you, they will leave a message. I have a setting on my phone that sends most things it actually sends everybody who's not saved in my personal contacts to voicemail. And if somebody wants me, they leave a message. Don't send money to people that you don't know. Don't send gift cards to people, and do not call somebody back on the number that they provided. Make sure that you're giving, if you need to call Verizon back, you look up the number for Verizon and you call them back on that. Please do report these crimes to law enforcement, even though many of them are going to end up having defendants who are overseas. It does help if you can build a case. If it ends up being enough victims and enough people, then the FBI may step in. Always follow up on your suspect interactions and always be vigilant. Again, a lot of people don't say about the scams they have because they're embarrassed. It's embarrassing for me to tell my Verizon scam story, but do it. People need to know. They need to be able to help you. Ask for help when you need it. Make arrangements for your future to make sure that your finances are secure. Get yourself a power of attorney. And then lastly, know who to contact where you are. If you're in Kernersville, if you're in Winston, if you're in Forsyth County, the Attorney General's office is statewide and they deal with a lot of scams. And then the North Carolina FBI field office. Where did I find these things? I Googled it. It is not hard to find. Just Google them. You'll be able to find them and you'll be able to go ahead and report to the people that you need to report to. So I'm not sure I know how to stop sharing my screen now.
There you go. You did it.
I did. I stopped sharing. Okay, good.
Yep. You are golden.
Oh, great.
So
I knew that was kind of fast.
it was perfect. One of the things I think that you said that we talk about when we're out in the community is exactly one big point you made. If you don't know the number on your phone, don't answer it. If it's important, it's a legitimate person, they will leave a message. I have my mobile phone from Utah. So when it comes through, it is a Utah area code. And I'm just completely comfortable with people not answering from me. In fact, I'm really glad when they don't. And that way I can call, they leave a message, I call them back and they know it's me. But I'm grateful, Jessica, so much for these tools that you've given us. I don't know, those of you who were with us maybe about 6 years ago when we used to do these in person, Jessica actually came and presented to us at the downtown library, and so many people ask about it that's why we wanted to bring her back. And this is your chance to ask any questions that you have of her. And, these scams have happened to people that I know. My mother-in-law lived at a retirement community outside of DC, and her girlfriend, a friend there, got the phone call that it was a grandson in jail somewhere, and she went to Western Union, and thank goodness the Western Union person stopped her and really helped her, figure out exactly the things you're saying. Call a family member, call somebody else, and let's figure out, is this real? And if, how to protect ourselves. So just to let everyone know, again, as we always do, we will be sharing Jessica's slides with you after tonight. So we will get it downloaded. And when I send you the link you can go back and watch the entire presentation, we will also include those important contact numbers that Jessica shared earlier. So until December 10th, stay well, age well. I hope you have a wonderful and safe Thanksgiving and that your holidays are peaceful and joyous. Hopefully we will see you in December. And until then, stay well.